You cannot bypass this experience of life. You have come to life, to the school of life, to live it. Not to just read it in a book, but to live it. And the more you are willing to live it and confront the vows and agreements and oaths you have taken in your ancestral world and in your own personal world as you have lived these many lifetimes, this is when you have the transformations. This is when you have the ascensions. This is when you have the growth. And this is when witchcraft no longer works. Bonnie, creative visionary, and welcome to Financially Empowered. Financially empowered. Oh yes, financially empowered. Oh, I have some news for you. I got some news for you. I got a story for you, and I got some news for you. So, first, I want us to start off this lesson with reminding ourselves of the 5 stages of awakening. Before I talked about the 4 stages of awakening, here is the video here. And I also said that there are many layers to consciousness, many layers. I am going to refer to this idea of awakening to God consciousness. God is not a man in the sky that is sitting there doling out Christmas presents and that is going to come and rescue you. God is not this. God is energy. God is energy. So there are many stages to awakening depending on how many lifetimes you have lived on planet Earth. Many stages of awakening. I don't think it ends. I think there are models of what we can comprehend with our limited ability to comprehend this idea called spirit, called source, called God. And so, depending on where you are, when you're still in victim consciousness, I was there for a while when I was doing my grieving, when I was doing my grieving thing and my depression. But what I'm actually starting to recognize is and tap into, which I've always known, which I knew even before I came to America, but I just decided to take a little bit of a nap. And then when I took ayahuasca, these stages of awakening and consciousness checked in, and they were like, wow, here I am, recognize all these layers of awakening and consciousness. And then Mother Aya was sharing with me that it would take me 10 years to kind of fully integrate all of these, well, not all of them, but like 7, 8 stages, 9 stages, 10 stages of awakening, and I would just keep evolving and keep expanding in this awakening. So I'm really excited. I'm like really excited to share this with you because I shared with you that in the first stage of awakening, okay, some of us are just like asleep, and I don't think in this lifetime we're going to make it out awake. Gonna make it out. There's nothing that's gonna happen to you. You're gonna come back and redo this life experience. It's not a bad deal. There's nothing inherently bad. It's just an experience. This earth experience is school, right? It is school. There's nothing inherently bad. There is nothing inherently good. It just is. Yeah, I think it just is. We in our consciousness can choose to say it is bad news. It's happening to me. It's happening to me. And when you're in a victim stage of consciousness, it's happening to you. And I've noticed that sometimes we need to meet consciousness where it is. And you will hear me say, it is happening to me, when I want to connect with consciousness and say, it is not really happening to you, it is happening for you. But when I was in my working through my victim consciousness and my emotional dramas and my stuff, I was like, oh my God, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? And then I remembered, first layer of consciousness is when you begin to go to therapy. And then when you work with a therapist, a really good therapist, there are so many of them. I'm so thankful to Sam Vaknim, Professor Sam Vaknim. Thank you so much. You're so I love you. Link below. I really love Professor Sam Vaknim. I really respect Dr. Ramani. I really respect Dr. Ramani. Sometimes I get really upset at her videos, and I'm just like, but that is like inside of me, and I'm like, oh, I gotta work on that, and I gotta look at that in myself. But I really, really respect Dr. Ramani. She's very gentle, and yeah. But first stage, and there's many other therapists online that you can like listen to if you cannot afford to go to therapy. Today, I went and did my own tree therapy. I took a walk and I power walked, and I went and did my own tree therapy at the park. So the first layer of consciousness is when you just awaken and you're like, I gotta help myself here. I gotta help myself. I gotta help myself. I gotta help myself. It's not happening to me. It is happening for me. I gotta help myself, and I gotta go to therapy. Okay, great. So now you go to therapy, and then after that you gotta work this energy, because it's all energy. Emotion is energy in motion. You gotta work it out of your body. So some of us work out with weights, some of us dance, some of us do yoga, some of us walk. I have found that walking has been just such a powerful process for me. It has really been a powerful process. I've done the weightlifting, I've done the kickboxing, I've done the dancing, I've done, I've practiced quite a lot, but I've really found that walking has been a very powerful meditative process for me. I don't listen to anything while I'm walking. I just listen to my own thoughts and whatever is coming out of me, and I power walk, and I walk through that, and I walk through whatever emotion is coming through, whether it's joy, whether it's gratitude, whether it's anger, whether it's fear, whether it's agitation. I just walk through it. So today I went and did tree therapy at the park, and I was sitting there at the park, and I was talking to the tree, and I was like, yes, yes, yes. And then the third layer of consciousness that this is my own thing, okay? This is my own thing. Every other teacher has their own model of how they understand the awakening process. This is what I have come to understand just through my own experience and through my own journey. The next stage of consciousness is the third stage of consciousness, where you are just starting to understand your ancestral stories and your story, which is what I think this is where we get really stuck. Fourth layer of consciousness is there too, where we get stuck, but there's beings. There's beings in all of these layers of consciousness, and some of these beings and entities are very, very low. But at the fourth layer of consciousness, I think this is where we really, really, really get stuck, a lot of us. And the beings at fourth level of consciousness are the ones that are really running these governments and these leaders. I saw this in ayahuasca, and I've heard a lot of teachers talk about it. I was listening to Joel Goldsmith. He was a Christian mystic. His spirit still lives on forever. But he was talking about the fourth layer of consciousness. I'm like, why are you still talking about the fourth layer of consciousness? But his programs are like in 1950, 1940, 1960. You know what I'm saying? It's like he still was like at the fourth layer of consciousness. And I was like, okay. So depending on where the teacher left off, we need to evolve from that. For a while, I was kind of like working through layers of the third layer of consciousness. The third layer of consciousness is your ancestral stories. It's your stories over the many lifetimes you have lived. And what I've come to understand is, especially as I've been power walking through the city and just looking at stuff, is that we've made a lot of agreements depending on which lifetime you were looking at and which lifetime you were in. I know for few lifetimes I was a nun, and in that nun stage I gave up my power. I gave up this ability to, I would say I gave it up, but I made agreements of and vows of poverty, vows of not having money, vows of living a monastic life and a nunnery life. And I've been working through this. This is why I'm saying we cannot bring it down. You cannot bypass this experience of life. You have come to life, to the school of life, to live it. Not to just read it in a book, but to live it. And the more you are willing to live it and confront the vows and agreements and oaths you have taken in your ancestral world and in your own personal world as you have lived these many lifetimes, this is when you have the transformations. This is when you have the ascensions. This is when you have the growth. And this is when witchcraft no longer works.